quick note on some other types of air pollution. Ozone. Well, we want an ozone layer. How can there be pollution? We want ozone in the right spot. Ozone up in the stratosphere, again, is what's protecting us against UV light. Having a good amount up there is quite helpful. Ozone down here, on the other hand, is a problem. Ozone is very reactive, and reactive chemicals plus U, that's not good. Now, if you have it contained, ozone actually works pretty well for killing germs. You can use it to purify water, stuff like that. But ozone produced, say, by burning stuff, things like that, down at Earth's surface is a problem, something that we want to try to control. Again, things like those fluorocarbons and other things that contain chlorine and fluorine, as those get up into the stratosphere, those will tend to break down the ozone and cause problems. Acid rain, yeah, carbon dioxide makes rain a little bit acid, but calling it acid rain refers to stuff that's stronger. And when we burn things, besides carbon plus oxygen making carbon dioxide, or carbon monoxide, which is highly toxic to us, there's also some sulfur and nitrogen. This may be contaminants in what we're burning, or the nitrogen in the air, things like that. Processing ores to make metals, there's another important source of sulfur oxides, things like that. Okay. Sulfur plus oxygen, sulfur oxide, nitrogen plus oxygen, nitrogen oxides. Add water, and we get strong acids like nitric acid, sulfuric acid. Very unpleasant stuff. Now, this isn't just water out there in the air. There's the water in your lungs. When you breathe, nitrogen oxides, sulfur oxides, they react with the water inside you to make these nasty acids in your lungs that can be deadly or very harmful. So, getting these in the air from burning things, whether it's coal, other stuff like that, those will tend to be problems producing acid rain. As an additional challenge for acid rain, the weather is not big on passports. Turns out, a lot of Canada's problem with acid rain comes from wind blowing from the U.S. A lot of the northeastern U.S.'s problems with acid rain come from wind blowing from Canada. So we have to have a way of enforcing regulation, not just, well, it's blowing away from here. What's the matter? It's blowing to somewhere else. We need to take care of the problems for everybody, not just locally. Again, a couple points to remember relating to the weather. Condensation. If you breathe out and see a cloud, that typically tells you it's cold out there. Lower temperature tends to favor making clouds. Why do you see a cloud with your breath? Well, again, you've got moisture in your lungs so that you can dissolve oxygen from the air and be able to breathe. That's pretty important. But this means that you are losing some moisture as you breathe out. And so that air that you breathe out, it's going to be, assuming it's cold outside, that air is warmer than the surrounding air, but it's a whole lot more humid. Now that little bit that you breathe out, surrounded by all this colder air, it's going to cool down. If it hits its dew point, then you get that little cloud. Also, related to our dew point, temperature at night, or sometimes even during the day, especially as we get a front coming through, we may have the temperature seemingly stuck at one level, drops down to that and then stays there. And this goes along with damp weather. What this means, our temperature is cooled to the dew point, and now instead of the temperature particularly dropping, what's going on is water is condensing from the air, making whether it's lots of dew, fog, maybe even snow or rain. Again, thinking back to the beginning of class, science is very useful. There are various other ways of thinking about things that are also important as well. This is an example of Joni Mitchell, Both Sides Now. Talked about clouds, thinking of them as fun shapes in the sky, thinking of stuff in the way. Of course, she's using this metaphor anyway. But she's thinking about clouds in a very different way from meteorology. And both are useful for different purposes. Do I want to know if that cloud up there is going to rain on me? Well, asking Joni Mitchell is probably not the most useful. But what sorts of things might I think about as I look at the clouds? Yeah, this gives some types of thoughts there.